hello. Unos momentos, por favor, while I wrestle with technology, just for a change. Yeah, you fucking stay there. You're supposed to make me look pretty, Ring Knight, not keep falling over. Hi! I need to sort out my whole desk. But there's no point. When I move to Norway, I'm getting an office. Hi! Hope everyone's doing great, good, wonderful, even. I need to update my... Was it goals? Let's try some of these. String quests. Alright, and goals. Oh, what did I just wrote a new command. What did I call it? You know what? It'd help if I turned it on. Yeah, Oslo area. I'm not going to dox myself any more than that. But yes, Oslo-ish. But yeah, Oslo is beautiful. I love Oslo. 10 out of 10. I was just playing with this idea of a text bubble to communicate. Oslo is wonderful, and you should visit Oslo. Like, I don't think there's any world where I'm not gonna say those exact words every time. I think. So the main problem I have here is perspective. So what I'd like to do is Unity make sprite renderer display over 3D object. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I always encourage people to visit Norway. Norway is wonderful. Sorry, I'm dealing with an issue here where this would need to be higher than the walls. But that's going to give us, maybe not as bad as I thought, but that's going to give us some, yeah, that's going to give us some pretty severe offset if we're not careful. I'll put that on the I'll think about it. Honestly. Oh, God. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, the heat here is absolutely fucking miserable at the minute, and I overslept. And I'm just going to do a couple of hours here today to get a bunch of stuff sorted that needs sorting. Because, yeah. Shit sucks. My goal is to run till about 3 o'clock. So about 3 hours does not seem an unreasonable amount of streaming today. Thing. This. I want this. So we're gonna create 2D sprite library asset variant and call this one enemy bat. Right, and then enemy bat already exists, so now we can go enemy goblin. I want to get some enemy variants done so that we've got some, and that's not super important right now, but it is. I think it's important to have these things visible on stream, like that level of visual interest for people coming into the stream. So it's not normally the way in which I would do this. I would happily test with one type of enemy forever, but it is, I think there's a point where you have to acknowledge that we are putting on a show. Let's go Goblin. So Goblin's dead easy. Goblin's 1, 2, 3. Idle is 3. Let's open this. Okay, so that's 3, and then those 3 we don't use, and then we're on move. I might be worth going in and cutting those out the sheet at some point. Okay, why are we out of sync with the bat? The bat does not have the white space. Alright. Bat does have the white space. Why are we out of sync with the bat? So that's kind of the main thing. So that's 0, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 11, 12, 13, 14. Have I fucked up with the bat then? Stop closing Sprite Library, you idiot. You can tell my brain is not here. Enemy base. 10. 1, 2, 3. You've got 4 frames there? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not acknowledging. Oh, they sliced afterwards. Yeah, right. I'm not worried about that. That's this way heartbreak lies. All I have to do is make sure that I'm doing the correct things per character, and it'll match up because that's how sprite libraries work. Fucking love it. Like as I mentioned yesterday, the Unity sprite library stuff is incroyable. Like, it's just wonderful what it does. And this, after all that hassle we went through yesterday with the setting up characters and stuff, this is all we need to do to set up new characters. And I had to do this on Portal Brawlers with hundreds of sprites. Literally hundreds of sprites per character. But this, when you're only talking like a few sprites, it's fine. Sometimes it takes that one. Boom, 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 and then death is explode. Right, cool. Goblin done. Enemy Goblin. We're going to swap out Enemy Goblin for enemy. Let's put the big boy in. We like the big boy. We don't get to do the big boy. Goblin, Goblin, Sniper, Orc, Rat, Slime, Spider, Troll. We do have plenty of characters here, which is nice. And then we lose those 3, and we go bang. I remember one of the things I tried to do with the original Stream Quest was have the players or have like the streamer be able to control an enemy. I wonder if I should add that. It's not the worst thing in the world to do. Especially because I can steal an outline from... we've got a lovely outline shader in Trenchcoat Adventurer that I could steal. Steal's a harsh word. Repatriate. That's a better way of putting it, right? There's a very nice sprite outline shader that I could use, which you could use to outline an enemy that is being streamer controlled. That's not the worst idea in the world. I think the real issue then comes from controls. What do we do with controls? Anyway, that's Troll. So that gives us a couple of... Right, enemy base. And then we want to create prefab variant. We've got this enemy at. And we go create folder, we'll call this enemies, enemy bat, enemy goblin, enemy. Right, so that gives us 3 off the bat. So bat's sorted, go away. So we take both of these and we go goblin. And actually, technically, we go into here, and we go enemy base bat, and then we go bat 0, which is like a low-fat bat. Goblin. No, nobody laughing at Goblin 0, Bat 0 joke. Man, I'm wasted on you. Okay, cool. And then we can get rid of all these base enemies. And we can add them to the scene. And I think we can actually... I think we could tidy this up a little bit. Exterior walls thin. Oh yeah, because I had chunky walls. Alright, so they can go... Because this is the scene template. This is what I want to use as a... So entry and exit are kind of 2 different things. Obviously. Let's go... start end tiles, like this. So what I want to do here is just get these... I want to get a copy of this saved. So let's see this. Find in project. Then we delete scene template. We're going to take scene template like this. This becomes scene template. We're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this Richard Sandbox, because that's traditionally how I roll. So now we can go into we can go into the template, and we can just get this set up like this. Now, I don't think we want those there to start with. So, and now we can go new level scene template. And I believe we can just scene template like this. Let's go back into my sandbox. It's chilly. Right, let me jump in here real quick. This needs to go down into prefabs. Cool. This needs to go into animations. Just before I accidentally overwrite anything, because I've just had a bunch of... Alright, and then we bring this in here. Okay, something weird has happened. One of these is new. Okay, that'll be that one. Open treasure chest. And actually, all we need to do here is chest X like this, and that'll fix that. And there we go. Okay, treasure chests are back up. And then these are all going to get... Oops. Okay, so I've had a big update to all of these, which means I just need to go and do these real quick. Okay. Right, sorry about that. That was, there's stuff going on, which I don't want to air publicly, but needed responding to. and also chatting to my artists, because I've just imported the new files they've given me because they've switched program, and I think these are really nice. But every file contains every file, and I don't want to go through all the effort of using that if that then gets changed. I'd rather just use the artist's version of the files. Oh, gosh. Still interested. Price for stuff. Where playing. Be added about money. Cool. Speaking of money, yes. As you can see, top of the screen, right at the top there, we've actually got a goal thing, which is a thing that I don't do very often. Struggling to find a good spot for it, honestly. But the goal is stream store page. Get the $100 required to list on stream, and then we can start taking our time. Nice screenshots, things like that, not an issue. Like that's like we can build that up. But an active Steam page lets us start farming for wish lists, promoting to people, etc. Once the Steam store page is up, the next major goal is I've been scouting for people to make a game trailer. One thing I've noticed in the last few projects that I've worked on with folks is weak trailers do not get you anywhere. And I've decided to put my money where my mouth is. I found a professional game trailer maker. It's about $300 to $450 to put together a good, like, license. The music's good, like, it's all done start to finish, the whole trailer, which can then be used in advertising. It can be used on the Steam store, etc., etc. Yeah, like that's a whole ass thing. There's an ad break in a second. Sorry about that. Most of you are here through the right. Sorry. I'm a little discombobulated this morning. Like I'm not. Sorry, I'm not giving you the good stuff today. I'm being weird today. Right, let's talk about ranged. I want to get ranged. I think ranged is interesting. Ranged is fun. So, what does our ranged check look like? So, bring back in our data scene. So, this involves our player manager. Do I have a has ammo? Okay, right. SO ranged weapon. Ranged weapon variables, this is the ammo that we're using. Again, I don't think that's super important because I want to convert the bow to a sword style weapon in that you have the bow and then when you find a new bow you do more damage, but it's reliant on you carrying ammunition. So that's fine. Let's enemy manager, game manager. Game manager and player manager I kind of need. Game manager. I got player manager open? Player manager. Right, okay. So if we pun both of those and we close all but pinned. There we go. I love that button. Right, let's have a look at this. So in player manager, which is where our inventory is, we want to go. What are our regions? Regions, sword and armor. Alright, let's go region ranged attacks. because I think that's cool. So sword level, armor level, I think we need to go bow level, current bow level, current bow damage. I think we can make that a little bigger. 2-4. Sprite, bow, level, sprites. And then that means we can open sword and armor. And we can take those. Get current sword damage. Get current bow damage. Get ranged attack damage. Current bow damage. Current bow damage. Current bow damage. Get current bow level sprite. Bow level sprites. How did I end up there? I was down here. Get current bow level sprite. Get current sword level sprite. That really did just jump me up, didn't it? I'm going to put the word bow in there anyway, cause myself. Get next. Oh, excuse me. Cool. So that's the bow sprite sorted. That's something that's fairly easy for us to mess with. So actually, I think here we need to go public pool has ranged weapon ammunition, and then kind of in the inventory, I need to look for an item. Get valid inventory slot. Try add consumable. Try collect inventory item. Inventory item contains command item. Inventory contains command item. Maybe this is what I did. Maybe that's the smart thing. So it's less that. And we go into game manager for ranged. So, if the player does not have a valid target, do we let them fire the bow? Like, do we let them waste ammunition? I think with the number of chests in the game, I think it determines how much ammo we want people to carry. Do we let people... So, that's the question. That is 100% the question. Do we let people waste ammo? Interesting question. Anyway, I need to... Ranged attack. If you have the command item, great, we're going to add that to the list. Okay, so we're already checking the inventory, which means what I need to do is check... Thinking about changing some of these controls around. So it's this, right? So it's exclamation ranged. I need to figure out if this is what we're doing. Because if I do the item, we got ammo arrow, this item is ammo arrow, and then the command is ranged attack. I'm sure I had an arrow. In fact, I remember being pleased because I had a particularly nice arrow. I have to delete these potions. They're kind of a pain. Although this is any project. This is any sprite-based project. You get this. And you can't say don't look at sprites, because I'm looking for sprites. That's kind of the point. The potions are overkill. Alright, let's look at enemies, because in here I had an arrow from many directions. Are you not 16 by 16? Oh, you're not centered. Some of you aren't centered. Eat shit. Alright, let's... I think that length. Which I think is actually that one. I think that's the same. That was a bit darker. Up, down, side. Done. Arrow. Projectile. Arrow. Projectile. Arrow. Up. Side. There are nice arrows, but this is the arrow that we've got. This is the arrow that we've got, and that's fine. Let's also... 16. We can go arrow inventory like this. In fact, icon. Items, arrow, icon, arrow, that's fine. Arrow, cool, arrow is good. Ideally, I'd like that to be like a little bundle. Trying to decide how it's the most visible. Anyway, all of these are distractions. So if we hit play, what does our arrow grasping look like? Arrow times 5, no update. Okay, interesting. Let's add a couple of things in here. Let's go... So, bow... Variables. Variables. Player stack components, inventory slots. I think I want to go... Serialized field. Let's be explicit. Let's go... TMP text. And then I want to go... bow action bow command text, right? And then we're going to do a... So this is the inventory items. This is inventory, right? Unleash the goose. Why? I already told you I'm not focusing today. I'm going to get rid of that fucking goose. That's not the attitude that you're here for. I apologize. It is hard to focus, and one of the reasons that I'm streaming is to help me focus. Because I have 55,000 points, what else before? I don't know, tell me what you want them to be for. They're essentially pointless. Public void refresh inventory visuals. Do this. And then I actually want to go if inventory contains command item ranged attack. I want to go bow command text equals ranged, else equals nothing. Right, and then we can go for each inventory inventory slots dot what's the set up inventory slot visuals? That's not the correct. Okay. Public void refresh visuals. Yeah. Refresh visuals, right. And then that is this. And then this is refresh visuals. Right, and then this becomes cool. So we're going to do that. So if we pick up, and I think that's something that we need to call try collect inventory item. And I think we're going to get to the end of try collect, and we're going to refresh visuals anyway. Okay, okay. We're not giving myself a valid spot for doing this. So we're refreshing inventory visuals here. Yeah, alright, that should do it. That should give us something. That should give us something good. So now if I go into Game Manager... Oh, I can drag them off screen. That's nice. Bow command text. So I need to go Canvas, UI, cycling fades, equipment panel, equipment slot bow, inventory slot command text. And that goes here. And what that should give us, thank you, Goose, directly in the way as always. Right. So if we move that up, what we should get is, let's have a look. So we have no ranged. If I ranged, I voted ranged, but nothing happened. So I need to go into that and go like, voted ranged, but we have no ammo. And then if I go up, we pick up the arrow, it adds it to the inventory, and then if I say ranged, it is triggering the ranged attack. Okay, so I need to find where I've put the I voted for shit, which I believe is also Game Manager. Here we go. On Twitch command received, voted. Right, and then I need to go if arg2 dot Not a fan of this. This is string comparators. If arg2 dot name dot to lower to upper is equal to ranged, and player manager dot try dot instance. Oh no, we're in game manager. Oh yeah, player manager. Ranged attack. That might be too long, but we can try that. Finally, someone to YouTube about Godot. I like Godot. I do not have the brain power to learn Godot at the minute, and for the last 4 years. Wereduck, welcome on in, first time chatter. Gosh, I suppose that means you need the spiel. Hello, my name is Richard StepDev. I am a full-time indie developer working on StreamQuest 2, which is a Twitch chat-controlled RPG. In fact, it is now up and running. If you would like to, you know, up, down, left, right, melee, defend, all the commands are on the screen for anything that's not a movement. It is a Twitch chat-controlled RPG. I've worked in Unity for 7+ years. I've worked AAA, I've worked indie. I stream to keep myself focused on work, but also I adore being able to share my game with the... I adore sharing what I'm working on, but I like to teach. I have aspirations of teaching. So if there's ever anything you want to know about Unity or about the code or why I'm writing the code the way I do, I love getting questions. I love being able to talk about what I'm doing. That's what we do. If that interests you, feel free to drop a follow. We do run 3 minutes of adverts in an hour because that's the only way to stop pre-roll ads, so I apologize for that. There are ways around it, but not without me asking you for money, which I don't tend to do, but that money does go into my projects. I think that's the spiel. I need to write that down like an elevator pitch and have it on one of my monitors. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'd love to learn some Unity, so it's fun to see someone doing some work with it. Yeah, like, I love Unity. I've used Unity, like I said, for over 7 years, maybe 8. I don't like doing the maths. It makes me feel old. But, yeah, very, very much, very enjoyable. It's a very comfortable environment for me these days. I feel like I could do most things in it that I need to do. I primarily work in 2D because that's much easier to do as a solo dev. Or, you know, a solo dev or someone that generally likes to work in smaller teams. So, yeah, that's who he is. That's who I is. We're just testing out adding ranged attacks. So if I hit ranged, Richard Dev vote ranged, but we have no arrows. Right, I think I want to change that font color back. I think that's nice. I think that's going to be nicer. I just think that little bit extra readout that, like, you want to do this, but you don't have the ammunition is... Because I think the ranged weapon thing is, like, this is the only thing we have that's not as instantly readable as the rest of it. And I think that's... There you go. Voted ranged, but we have no arrows. Okay, cool. And then if I go up... and I think it's... Do we want to add... Does that just want to be a chat log, or do we also want that to be a... Do we also want that to be like, you picked up a thing, you killed a thing, you got X experience points? In which case I worry about the size of it, but I wouldn't want to make it any bigger. I'm also aware, like... I don't have the logo anywhere on it at the minute. Like, UI is such a pain in the ass. My main thing is I want to keep this scalable. This is at double scale, so that's the other thing. Like, it needs to be, like, readable at this size, which I think it is to a degree. Maybe do a flyover character with... yeah, that's the other one I was thinking, was like a text pop-up. I do run into issues with the fact that we are in a 3D world and rendering over the top, but I am considering using a second render camera for sprites to prevent some of these issues. There are places where it would cause more issues, but I am thinking of a second render camera for certain elements so that they don't get obscured. Like, I had the thought of doing, I found, and I've just used, very cheekily, while I'm deciding whether or not to buy the asset. Oh, I deleted it. Cool. I was thinking like a speech bubble, like going into semiotics and things that maybe don't require text, but like going into semiotics and having like a speech bubble. Yeah, I think you're probably okay. Log will just be for action and votes. Yeah, I think so. I like having like last command as well, because it shows you who won the last round of voting. The bottom bar is like, I think we added it yesterday, just trying to make it feel a bit nicer. Oh, God. It's nice because it's not picking up other commands. This is live, by the way, if you wanted to control the character, that's entirely doable. So this is why I wouldn't render the character on a separate camera. I like the 3D wall things. Like, I work as a game QA, so I'm thinking how to break this. Yeah, it's surprisingly difficult to break at the minute, which is nice. I do like a good QA. What about visibility for enemies? It's never worse than this. As a combination of the size of the walls and the perspective of everything, it's never worse than... Like, that is literally our worst case for the doorway. Yeah, I think let's work on a little bit of readability today. I think that's nice. Jelly! How you doing? We were just talking about your assets. I didn't say they were yours, but the people that know you. There's no diagonal movement. So the key pillars of the game are it needs to be instantly readable to anybody that wants to comment, right? We also have the benefit that I've put in ulterior commands because you can't spam exclamation up. But you can go up, move underscore up, move space up. I don't think move space up works, but it's worth a try. North. So by adding in all of the synonyms for up, you get around the... Okay, so it's move up, all one word, or move underscore up. I didn't think it would like passing the space, and I think I'm right. But you can north, you can move up, you can move up, like, and they all come through as move up. And the same for the other directions, and I've even tried to do the same for like attack. So the primary command is melee, but actually after that it's melee, strike, sword, you know, etc. One thing I am noticing here is that my... Yeah, doing my best. You aren't... Correct. You aren't playing nicely. You aren't where you should be. Overrides. Okay, you are just... Wait, hang on. Oh, you bastard. Yeah, that's what wasn't right there. There we go. And then I want to go... I'm going to set you to just all caps. I think that's a big part of our readability, is that everything is just set to large caps. Nothing accidentally stops being caps. I think that helps a lot. That's item text. fact, I don't need to do that. Doing that is actually kind of the worst way of doing that. Switching analog, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I want to get back to here. I want to undo that. And then I want to go into here. And I want to do it on the prefab. Yeah, cool. That's important. Cool. Well, that's. Do you know what? I've been looking at it going, that's wrong. You do all levels as handcraft, you think about doing some procedural generation stuff. I'm 50-50 in that I think I might do a mixture of both. I have found a way of... I found a style of procedural generation that works for this, but procedural generation isn't my bag. I'm not big on, like... I'm a designer who can program enough to make my game work. I'm not a huge... like, I'm not, like, a deep algorithmic programmer. Don't get me wrong. I am at least, like, intermediate level. Like, I've programmed entire games from scratch. But getting into, like, procedural generation is not my bag. I do have a friend of mine that's super into it, that is taking a look at it. And if they can produce something cool, because they're always looking for, like, cool things to put in their portfolio or things to put up on the asset store. So they're going to tinker away at that. So my goal is, like, having the option of procedural generation, but the original stream quest was handcrafted, which meant I got a... it meant I could do, like, interesting level shapes and things like that, which is harder to do with procedural generation. I'm here for the algorithmic stuff when you need me. I mean, I've been chatting to... I chatted to Silas. So I found a video that basically was talking about using binary space partitioning to create these levels. And I went, that's pretty much what I need. But, yeah. I just didn't... Like... That's out of my depth. And I could learn it, but the amount of time it would take me to learn is currently spent better elsewhere. And I think that's fine. I mean, I was thinking of... I love the idea of creating prefabs rooms that can get connected sort of randomly. Well, cool. If you want to try binary space partitioning, that's very cool. Creating prefabs rooms that can connect sort of randomly. So... I love that style of generation. I think that's a really good style of generation. It doesn't work for StreamQuest. StreamQuest needs to fit the entire level on one screen. And I think generating rooms that are going to connect to each other, they're too small to make meaningful prefabs. But the entire level needs to fit on one screen. We can't... And I experimented with this early doors, but, like, I don't want to be able to go off screen to a different room and then back into this one. One of the major points for readability is that a new joiner should be able to see this, work out exactly where you are, where you've been, and where the goal is. If you have to traverse multiple screens to do that, you are creating frustration. You are not informing the player of previous decisions, etc. So, like, this is a game built around limitations, and that's fascinating to work on. So I can't do multiple screens because it's so I mean, in that case, it could be done that the next doors will be randomly selected. Yes, exactly. Like, that's the thing. We're going to have an array. So the way this would work is... so my current thinking is, once I have a price... So Jelly in chat has been making these 3D assets. Once we have enough for a biome, I will get a price per biome. At which point, I will have a goal in chat of saying, if we raise $150, Jelly's going to do as a cave biome, or we're going to do, like, an evil biome or something. And then what you do is you create a stock of floors, and you go, I'm going to play a 12-floor run. And you go, okay, well, the first floor, our basic dungeon, I have 20 basic floors. We're going to randomly select floor. We're going to shuffle them into a list. That's four dungeon. And then we're going to go into the cave. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take all of the cave levels. We're going to shuffle them. We're going to pick 4 at random. We're going to make a list. And then you can progress through a certain number of floors in a biome without that. There is a very real world where, because we're using 3D prefabs rather than a tile set, I can take these layouts and just say, hey, now you're a cave, but I feel like you lose the visual identity in doing that. If I have cave prefabs, we're going to be talking larger rooms with narrow corridors and interesting shapes, which doesn't, you don't want to just use the layout for a castle, which is rooms in a cave. So there's a lot of this that will just be churning out levels. And I can't pretend I'm excited about that. Level design is not my favorite thing, but I think there's enough of a challenge here for doing that. But yes, if you consider each thing on screen as a room, that's exactly what we're doing. And then after X amount of rooms, we move on to a different biome. I have this thing where, like, I make these decisions very, very quickly. Like, I look through it and my brain goes, bang, 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 this is the decision. But then when it comes to, like, actually explaining why that's the decision I've made, I realize just how much, like, design experience and how much these things have been thought about to reach that decision when the actual decision happened very quickly. It's one of the things that I love about game development. You're like, oh, that was super easy, and you're like, yeah, but it's actually a question you've been chewing over for 3 weeks, and you've made a bunch of unconscious decisions before the decision that you just made. Anyway, so interestingly, did you end up figuring out why lighting wasn't working properly? No, I haven't, which is really frustrating. So check this out. Everything is... I'm going to show you this because it's going to bug you as well, and that's hilarious to me. So if we pick one of these... I hate the canvas rendering over the top. So if we look at this, right, and I go, this material is material number 1, and this is Universal Render Pipeline. It is a lit material. Fam, it is lit AF, right? Like, so the material is lit. I am not accidentally here fucking with an unlit material. And I'm in lit draw mode, and I have I've got no lighting on the level, right? I'm not accidentally missing a turn lighting on or off. No. Like, this is the lighting selector. Receive global illumination. This is a cool visualizer. I wasn't aware this one existed. I suppose it's set to global illumination. That's about the only thing I can think of, right? Real-time global illumination. But I don't have a light source, and the whole thing's already lit. If it's lit and you don't have a light source, thing's black as pitch. There's a couple theories. Did you originally build the scene as 2D? I believe so. If I go into rendering... Ooh, actually, I think I might see where you're coming from here. Settings. Let's have a look at lighting. Main light per pixel. Cast shadows. Shadow resolution. Everything is lighting. URP asset rendering, light blend style, light textures. Like, there's nothing here that says, fuck you, we're not doing lighting. Render scale, light textures, additive with masks, foremost sorting layer. Maybe with the... Yeah, it doesn't... It shouldn't make a difference because this scene is in lit mode. This scene is reactive to lighting. A lot of the time you can work on this with lighting off. But this will also be giving lighting. It's giving lighting, bestie. I am getting rid of it. Are you using URP? I am using URP. Interestingly, I think I've worked out that we've got yeah, see, we've got freeform light, like we've got 2D light, which is cool, and I'll be using that. Render a 2D data. So 2D renderer like this. So if I can create rendering URP asset URP universal renderer, right? Let's go universal renderer like this. Asset renderer. Where are you being used though? Okay. Okay, well there's the lighting for the... But now we're dealing with sprites, although I feel like the sprites are probably just being unlit. Sprite lit default. So these are lit, fam. Oh, cool. Now we can... It's a good thing I called that ooh. So now we can... Ooh! Sorry about that. That was unnecessary. Okay, cool. I can look into that. So that's... Well, you're a technical artist. You know what? There you go. There's a bit of fun for you. I am going to go make myself a drink. I'll be back in a moment. Do relax and chill. I shan't be long. I was waiting to see if we had an ad break in a second, but sometimes nature just calls. I have discovered why it's so miserable and hot. It's because we have our second ever red danger heat warning for the area. So, yeah, everything kind of sucks. Ooh, render. Yeah, okay. Damn, you just learned? Was my dulcet tones not English enough for you? You just learned. No, but it was a reminder. I was like, man, why does today feel like I'm wrapped in a wet, hot blanket? And Dave, the landlord who's downstairs, was like, this? I'm like, shit, you right. That's that. Alright. Something exploded on my Discord while I was away. They predicted 38. Yeah. I've always been told I'm blessed without a particularly regional accent. I speak the Queen's English. Well, technically, it's the King's English now, but it was the Queen's English when I learned it. So, anyway, Jelly, you sent me a message about 3D rendering. Let's have a look. Inspector. So, Universal Render Pipeline asset. Okay, so I can set them as... I can switch between them by setting them as default, but I can't have them both running. Interesting. I do wonder if I can then go to a camera and set it running off a specific renderer. You fucking genius. So, if I... main camera... in fact, if we create empty... Nope. Create empty parent. Create empty parent, and we go main camera containeral, like this. So main camera 2D, main camera 3D, like this. So main camera 2D is going to use 2D renderer, and main camera 3D is going to use universal renderer. Okay. And then, I think what we need to do is set our culling. So if I, on my 2D camera, if I go on my culling mask and I go nothing, and actually we're going to do this. Like this, and then the 3D camera just does default. Oops. Okay, so we can do that. We also don't need two listeners. These need to match. They match. Pixel perfect camera. Background type solid color is sorted. Culling mask, render shadows, priority. Universal renderer. I do like physical camera. Physical camera is fun. Stack. No overlay cameras exist. Okay, what if my 2D is an overlay camera and we stack it? Oh, fuck off, it's just said it's an overlay camera. Oh, fine. Mm-hmm. Rendering, 2D renderer, main camera, 2D renderer, main camera, universal renderer, 3D renderer. Okay, so that should be fine. Which... Ah! Well, that's not ideal, really, is it? Something seems to have exploded. Whoa! Yeah, I know, right? What if I created a light? Haha! Nope. Huh. Hold on. Okay, let's... Okay. Sorting layers. Okay, so we need to do... Okay, so that's 3D environment, right? And I think... Right, I think what we can do is we can 3D environment, change all children. Right, so that's stopped that rendering there. So if we change this to nothing, and we change this to 3D environment. Right, 3D environment exists. Right? So 3D environment is now rendering, which means on our 2D camera, which is our 2D renderer, and interesting. Interesting. So you need to be priority 1 anyway. So this is really interesting because I was considering switching to this anyway. What if we could copy that so we don't accidentally lose our settings when I remove it? That ain't the issue. Okay, so I can paste component as new. Put that back on here. Okay, interesting. Anti-aliasing, don't care. 2D renderer. Let's have a look at 2D renderer. Why is 2D renderer being a pain in my ass? Interestingly, when I changed this, it rendered briefly, and it's the 2D camera that's being a pain in my ass. So if we set that to -1, right, the problem is the 2D camera, right? So if we turn off the 3D camera is rendering as intended, right? Which means I need to figure out what the issue here is with 2D camera. Everything. Right. Okay, so it's a culling mask issue. Interesting. Background type, solid color. This needs to not exist. Okay, you can't background type transparent. So, that's the uninitiated Kara, right? So, what we've got here is these guys not interacting nicely. So, if I set that to solid color, that's fine. If I set that to uninitiated, right? Let's have a look back at this. Okay. I think this is interesting and something that's going to work out for us eventually. Ooh, what if we stop Nans? Nope. No dithering. Render shadows. Priority 0. Priority. -1. Okay, so we're rendering under this camera, but the moment we render on top of this camera, which we should, let's have a look. 2D, Unity 2D URP renderer. Transparency. The opaque texture feature available in forward renderer. 2D renderer doesn't support this. Use multiple cameras. Unity 2D camera. Solid render transparency. Render graph. Fascinating stuff, but like, okay, texture compute shading. Okay, I'm getting a different render graph settings. Strip pupils, lighting. Hello, default volume profile. Default volume profile is empty, which, I mean, obviously you'd hope. We're not Unreal, we don't apply... Whelp. Yeah, I think Whelp is the fucking one there, isn't it? I mean, this is interesting, because this was what I was coming back to do anyway, was try and render across 2 cameras. Preload shaders? Hell yeah. I wonder, is this because I don't currently have a 2D light? Nope. Cool. Is this because I have a directional light? Also no. Fascinating. Oh, let's have a look. Oh my god, sorry, I've had a whole bunch of folks. Love the stuff that's happened. Sorry, I got real wrapped up in my shit there. Rombig, it feels like, but would covering the background with a large transparent sprite solve anything? Like a dirty hack. I'm gonna try that right now. No. Excellent thought, though. That's the kind of dirty hack we like. DPDP03, what's up? Gonna be looking, co-working, good luck on yourself. Thank you very much. I've currently set everything on fire, as I tend to do. Lonely Lambda, hey Richard, how have you found streaming game dev so far? I've been streaming game dev for about 5 years on and off. Maybe longer, actually. I started in university. And I graduated university 1, 2, 2.5, 3.5, 5. I've been streaming for about 6 years. Crazy. Fucking insane, honestly. If Dead Dokus was here, I would just look at his subscriber badge. Because that's crazy. You and I had met here 2020. Yeah, 2020 sounds about right. I was what's your Z-axis on the camera? Interesting. Both cameras are 10.25, 6.75, minus 10. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. I don't get me wrong, I've taken some very long hiatuses. I think my longest hiatus was about 18 months, 2 years. I don't do it for growth. I'd like to grow. I find that software and game development is not where you go if you want to achieve fame and fortune. It's where you go if you have something interesting to share, etc. Sprites are, you know, around Z0. It's this, so it's funny because it's this uninitialized background type. I can't solid color to transparent, which is really annoying. Let's go Unity 2D camera background type transparent. Can you change the 3D one to a skybox? Yeah, the problem is we're currently rendering above. So if I change my 2D camera priority to -1, the 3D one's working fine. The 3D one is working absolutely great. I mean, we're not currently landing on lights, but, you know. It's literally it's this 2D camera not playing nice. So if I change the render type to an overlay, right? Right. Can I then add it to the stack, right? There we go. It's because we were rendering 2 main cameras, right? So, right, we can render this. Right? So overlay camera 2D, and then we got main camera 3D, and that's fine. And then we can start figuring out why shit ain't lit. Shit's lit. Wait. Shit's no longer visible. Fuck! Oh, it's because I don't have any sprite light. Global light 2D. Oh, come on. Don't be like this. Don't be like this. Lolbit Fortnite, hello. I'm getting a lot of new viewers suddenly. Am I being shared somewhere? Thank you so much, whoever is doing this. It's very kind. Yeah, I don't mind doubling up lights. I just, you know. Spot. Oh, so no, this is frustrating because they are actually turning up here. Spray. So if I go 0, 0, 0, and we change this to like 50, 50, 50. Nope. Do I need to... Oh, none sprite. Okay. Square. So, the first thing we're going to do is just make sure that we have like a very large, very flat 2D light doing the biz. Let's 25, 25 and move that to the middle of the level, because otherwise that's going to bother me. Right. Anyway, that's 2D light. It ain't here. So let's double check my overlay camera. Culling mask mixed. No. Yes. What game are we making? This is StreamQuest. StreamQuest is a only cameras with compatible renderer types can be stacked. Eat shit, get fucked. StreamQuest is a Twitch chat controlled top-down RPG. It is a student project I made like fucking 7 years ago and people are still using. And I've just had someone point out that they have over 1,000 hours in it. So, awesome stuff. I recently finished a large freelance contract a little sooner than I was expecting and have decided to spend the time to try and go full indie self-funded, which means getting more work out, which means revisiting cool portfolio pieces and turning them into full games. But yeah, it is a Twitch chat-controlled RPG. We have a proven audience for it. It's very cool. I'm just really excited about making this work. If I put you on fucking 3D renderer, you're not going to render the sprites! Ah! And if I turn you back into a base camera, you haven't exploded everything, but now I can't see my shit. I got into game dev like a week ago. Yeah, it's a good thing to be into. Okay, well now it's broken in a different way. Is it because you're still listed in the stack? No, it's not. It's broken in a completely different way. Nice. Fun. Priority for 2D should be higher. Oh, here we go. Bright yellow. Yeah. Shit, you right. 2D render camera bright yellow. Sadly, my PC barely handles Godot. This seems so shady. I think Godot is interesting and something that I would love to. I'd love to do more Godot, but I don't have the brain that lets me jump engines. Like, I've been on this engine for 8 years. When they were like, "Hey, everyone that installs your game, we're going to charge you money." When the fucking EA CEO was being an absolute dickhead, just before they fired him and everyone jumped ship. I tried Godot for a couple of weeks, and I could see myself loving it. The problem is I'm way too comfortable where I am. Right. All I need to do now is figure out why my camera's not doing thing. That's not great. Okay. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, so main camera. I just need to figure out where my character's gone. Okay. It's not so bad swapping over, has a lot of nicer features too. Yes, I think when I tried it, they hadn't C-sharped yet, and it was all GD script. And I did not have the mental fortitude for building an entire new thing. Okay, so if 3D renders all of them, and 2D renders all of them, Python. Yeah, see, I don't know shit about Python. I'm not very good at my job. Right. So you get to be top priority, which I think means... I think it's floor. I think if I turn off floor... Well, no, we won't see my character. We won't see fucking shit. Where's my player? Why are we being like this? There's my player. There he is. I'm toggling the same settings and I'm getting different results, and it's kind of slightly driving me absolutely fucking apeshit. Like, you're all watching me toggle the same settings and get weirdly nothing. Hilariously, I can't check. Why can I not check? Because I got two cameras. Right, so I can't... Alright, well, we've managed to add the tiniest amount of shading to the fucking walls. The real thing, the real important part here... Oh my god, no, I know what's about to happen, and I'm going to scrap this whole thing. Okay, well, no, that's not what I expected. The funny thing is, if I look back on this, so looking at this right now, nothing has changed. Nothing has improved for the last half hour of whatever the hell this is. Apart from, I feel like I've built a rendering stack that's made out of toothpicks and spit. Duct tape's way too solid for what I've built, Where Duck. You have a 2D player and a 3D background. Yes. And what I wanted to do... Honestly... So I wanted to create a camera that rendered above everything else. Not specifically for some of the sprites, but we were talking about doing a speech bubble pop-up, which would need to render over the 3D world. And that's fine. That shouldn't be difficult. That was an overlay camera. What we've ended up doing is having an overlay camera that makes me hate myself. By trying to... Because... This is now we've got 2 renderers running, which is very cool, and it lets us do 2D lighting. Right? It lets us do 2D lighting in a way that we don't normally get to do. Apart in theory, except it's not. Right, well, we know that works, right? A little bit of light on the level does look nice. I think it's given us some of that 3D definition. I think we could also just fake that. I think we could just darken down the walls a tiny bit and get the exact same effect without being an absolute fucking nightmare. But the Global Light 2D isn't doing shit. And I think that's because the 3D camera is currently the one that's picking up the player. We're not actually rendering on the 2D camera at all. Unity 2D overlay on 3D environment. That's a ping. I'll be there in a second. Overlay camera component referencing. Sorry, this is my other screen. I'm literally just like fucking documentation, which is the worst part. Skeptic Believer wants to collaborate. No. I've never seen that before. I have no idea who you are. But someone playing Microsoft Flight Simulator wanted... someone who isn't in the chat and wanted to... Screaming Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm going to have a look at them because I don't know what the hell that just was. Oh, I've got them muted. Do you just have no sound? Weird. Good for them. But like, I have no idea what that was about. Weird. Could the player carry a light source to cast cool shadows? That's the plan. That's what I want. Yeah, like that's a thing that's on my list. Like that's the plan. I am gonna freak out, explode. Make sure I've got music playing. Right, I'm going to stop researching this. I'm going to quickly revert this, and I'm going to leave that to a technical artist. I think that's the safe and sane thing to do. So we're going to turn off our overlay camera 2D. We're going to turn this back to 2D renderer. We are going to change our culling mask to everything, and then we're done. Right. So I'm not going to delete anything, but we're not playing with that for a hot minute. Anyway, yeah, the goal is I'd love to be able to play with light sources. I think it's a level of visual interest which is going to be good. The original goal of that entire fucking huge right swerve was to add speech bubbles above the player to say you don't have any ammo to use your bow. Let's do something that vaguely resembles bow logic. I don't have a bow fight. The bit that tickles me about this is I do not have a bow firing animation. And I might need to commission one. But we can get the rest of it working first. So anyway, player manager. I think what we need to do... Try collect, try add, replace... Where's my use inventory item? Try use inventory item. There we go. Cool. Right, so that's fine. We can use that. I think what we need to do here is ranged attacks. I think we probably put the majority of the ranged logic in here. Public void on ranged attack, right? And I think what we do here... So we've already established that we can do a ranged attack. So when we do a ranged attack, we're going to call this function. And this function is going to try use inventory item ranged attack. Right? So that's what we're doing there. And then we need to go down into our player controller, because this is where we're doing all of our raycasting from. That popped up shadowed for a second there and I got mad. Only a little bit mad. Mad enough. Status variables, animations, combat variables, is defending. Let's go serialized field, game object, arrow, game object. Like this, and then we've got I believe we've probably got a ranged attack here. Attack, fine. Public void ranged attack. So this goes back to my original query. Do we, if a player says ranged, do we just fire a bow? Do we just, and there's no target, do we just waste an arrow? Or do we only let the player do ranged when there is a valid target? So, what we're going to do is we're going to find first attackable. So, this is not going to be... Oh, move distance. Attack distance. Melee, attack, ranged. Yeah, like, I feel like you wanna... Like, you wanna... Right? So melee attack, range, and I think we can go ranged attack, range. And that's going to be like 30. That's going to be off the map. But it's better than using magic numbers. Hang on, where's target priority? What's happening here? That's okay, cool. Okay, yeah, we're not fucking with target priority. So ranged attack is going to be ranged attack, range. So we're fully left, right, up, down as far as you can get, right? So it hit component if try get component damageable potential target. We've found a damageable target. Found valid target. Right? And then we found the valid target. And then we're not actually going to damage the target directly. We're going to launch the arrow, and the arrow has to hit them. I'm going to make the arrow actually a thing that has to hit someone. So I think we need to create an arrow script. Well, we need to create an arrow is what we need to do. So let's create an arrow. I'm going to call this projectile arrow, right? And we're going to call projectile arrow. So what does our projectile arrow need? It needs a few things, right? It needs a sprite settings. We need a serialized field for sprite renderer. So it's the arrow sprite renderer. And then we're going to do serialized field sprite. And I think this is important to not just array these. I think I want to be explicit. I want to go up, sprite, down, sprite, side, sprite, like this. I want to go public. I want to go, let's above here, let's go header, arrow, variables. I think we're going to go serialized field. Do I want to go layer mask? No, I think we're still going to compare tag. We're going to compare tag because the only thing we're going to hit is an enemy, right? So, well, actually what we're going to do is we're just going to hit something. And then if it's an enemy, we're going to damage it. So we're just going to hit something. So serialized field, let's go float, arrow, flight, arrow speed. Like this. So arrow speed, we're going to also take in serialized field, int this arrow damage. So we're going to roll the damage on the arrow when we fire it. So we need a public void set up arrow. And we're going to take in a direction and an int for damage. So this arrow damage is equal to damage. And then we're going to go switch direction. So on up, we're going to go sprite renderer dot sprite is up sprite. And we're going to do a couple of other things as well. Down. I believe side sprite, and then we're going to go side sprite, and we're going to go with sprite renderer dot flip x is true. So that should handle that. Right, that's our sprite direct. That's our sprite sorted. So we need an update, and I think we need an on trigger enter 2D. We're going to go this transform dot position plus equals, and I have a method for this. So we can go, all right, now get raycast direction. Let's serialize field, direction, arrow, direction. Times arrow speed times time delta time. And then on trigger enter, we are just gonna destroy collision. So we're just gonna do that for now. And then once this is functional, we can handle so projectile arrow. I want to go 2G object square visuals, because I like to separate code and visuals. I think it helps. Sprite renderer. I think arrow speed. We're going to do something slow because I want to see it happening. Arrow up, arrow down, arrow right. So that's fine, and I think at this point we prefab it, and we can go back into the player. So now that we've got the player, so we've got our combat res, arrow, prefab, like this. Try to get component. So I want to go arrow, game object, arrow is instantiate, arrow prefab, transform dot position plus rsdev utility dot get raycast direction I. Quaternion identity. Okay, so that's gonna do that, and then we're gonna go projectile arrow equals arrow, get component projectile arrow, and then we can go projectile arrow, set up arrow, and we need direction I 10. So ranged attack. So we have ranged attack here, which I think now means we go into game manager, where we call this defend, ranged attack, set last command, readout, ranged attack. So that's on, yes. player controller instance ranged attack like this, and then we also go, because I'm going to do it here, player manager instance on ranged attack. So the interesting thing is this might work. This might work, like, immediately. It feels unlikely. Oh, actually, what we need to do is... So there's a running joke in here that every time I try and make something work properly, it doesn't. Oh, here we go. Let's go direction, arrow, direction equals down. Alright, so we're defaulting to down, right? And then actually what we're going to do here is this, and we're going to go arrow direction is direction I. So we found something valid and we're setting the arrow direction. Otherwise, we are going to just send it shooting down screen. And we just add that there. There's no reason for that code not to exist right now. Even though right now that code is 0 fuck you. Let's try this out. Up. Are we fucking with case? Oh, I hate that. Alright. Right, this gives us plenty of space to see if it works. Kinda. Let's do that again and check a couple of bits. So the arrow is in fact moving up. Do you know what would really help? If I set the direction the fucking arrow was meant to be going. That'd really help. That'd help the arrow do arrow things. And then also we need to rigid body 2D kinematic because it won't register contact otherwise. Which means it also needs a box collider, or it will also not. Show me what you got. Visuals. Show me this box collider. It's too big. Too big. That's your box collider, and you will enjoy it. Hang on, we're not done with you yet. It's a trigger. Right, things to look out for. Does the arrow decrease? Does the arrow quantity decrease? Like, we can deal with range and stuff in a bit. We can deal with speed and stuff in a second. Are we correctly decrementing arrows? Does it fire in the correct direction? Does the sprite look okay? Does it collide and destroy? Arrow does not decrement. Arrow did explode on hitting something. I need to see what you're hitting. Debug.log collision collider. Collision.gameObject.name. So I think we agreed it was the correct placement. So the arrow was in the right place, it was facing the right direction, it was moving the right direction. That's a reasonable amount of success for me sometimes. I know what it's doing. It's hitting the chest. Why you gotta be like this? I need you to not exclude layers. Include layers. Block movement. Okay. Up. Up. Right. Right. East. East. Ranged. Do you hit the wall? You do hit the wall and stop moving. Great. Now I think we can start playing with speed. Okay. Don't think we're going to go that much faster. Interesting, but we have no arrows, so we didn't update here. But we did in fact only have 5 arrows. Alright, so that becomes a... Try use inventory items. Try add consumable, try collect. Inventory canes, try use inventory item, use inventory item. Held quantity minus equals 0. This item dot held quantity minus minus, but we're not at any point upgrade setting this up. I need to know. Set item body text. Ooh, okay, so we need to reset item body text when this comes in. But we can't just collect. This item don't get body text. Okay, interesting. So if we're in inventory slot and I want to go refresh visuals, set up inventory slot visuals is going to be, we also need to come in here, set item body text this item dot get item body text. Set item command text this item get item command text like this, right? Because we're not collecting, we're just updating the visuals. If we were collecting, I think we would give ourselves a bigger issue. Okay, well, that's something I need to sort after the stream. I got half an hour. Anyway, sorry about that. Sometimes messages pop up and they need handling. Okay, so that's not... If I pick up a sword... Okay, so that does that, but it doesn't do... It's not fixed to my sword. Ah, beans. I have caused myself many small issues. Okay, so this needs... manually, which isn't perfect. I mean, nothing is, but... Right, there's the sword. There's the arrow. This says empty, but that's fine. That's on me to handle. Ranged. Ranged. Okay. So, I just need to... So this is refresh inventory visuals. And all I need to do is on ranged attack, refresh inventory visuals. Although to be fair, try use inventory item should also refresh that. It does not! I'm leaving that as a stub function because there's other stuff I might want to add to this. You just never know. Hey, Prosto! Did you not hit the wall? Did we just decide that we weren't hitting the wall anymore? We're just gonna fuck off into infinity? We're just gonna memory leak my whole game? Another game. Yeah, I decided that the best thing for me to be doing professionally right now was to remaster StreamQuest. It's long overdue. It's a fun little project. We're gonna make it work. I became aware of just how many people are still StreamQuesting, and it kind of blew my mind. And I'm like, you deserve better than my old university project. Let's make this work. So the collision on this is, the layer is 3D/environment, which means actually we need to come in here and we need to go block movement and we need to tick 3D environment, and that should fix that problem. Because we're gonna go range it like this, and we're gonna shoot it, and it's just gonna immediately hit something. Okay, it hit the treasure chest. The treasure chest should not be tagged as 3D environment. These are Ignore raycast. Is what I mean. No? You motherfucker. Collision is 3D environment. Arrow hits. Oh, okay, there we go. The way you said it. I just say things weird. It's too hot. My brain scrambled egg. Nothing good happening in brain. Please break against the wall. Pew! Boom! Done. Please, I'm so... Right, cool, great, cool. Arrow is fixed. Next thing to do is to find ourselves an enemy. Let's put in Troll. We like Troll. He's a good boy. And he can go here. Yeah, it's too much. Right. Troll, get out of the walls. Troll, get out of the... Fix that in a second as well. That's because we've accidentally changed all the collision on all of the walls to 3D movement. Troll! You're supposed to have 0 movement fucking range. Move distance 0. Apparently, I'm not using move distance. You can just go there, and then we can shoot you. Okay. So it hit. But it was wrong. Because that should be there instead. I think it's just slow enough that an enemy could move out the way and be really annoying, and I'm okay with that. Enemy collision mass is also environment. Yeah, you can run. Stop running through walls, dickhead! You are being a pain in my ass. Why are you being like this? Stop walking into my fucking walls. What is your major malfunction? Yeah. Always has been. God fucking damn it. Oh. Yeah, okay. Right, so yeah, that's fine. Everything was working, it's just the troll specifically not being fair. Because I'd set its raycast check for objects based on move distance, and move distance had been reset to 0. So now move distance works properly in that now it won't move. But if I revert that to 1, it can't walk through walls anymore. Hoi! Let's give it a house just in case. And it'll go, eh. Alright. Oh, yeah, I didn't actually move the collision. Unity has a very annoying bug where even if you nominate something as the root object, if you click anything else, it just goes like this. I wanna click through, like I wanna click the wall, and the first thing it gives me most of the time is this, and actually what I want it to do is give me the base object. It's not every time, but it's inconsistent enough to have caused issues. And like the same with the player. I kick the player, I want the player. Great, it's giving me the player this time. A lot of the times I click it, and it goes, Oh, by the way, like, you're clicking just on the sprite, and then I move the sprite, and then I think collision's not working, and it is working, but collision is 10 feet that way. Is there a Z-index? Yeah, there is, and obviously Z-index is how it renders all of its 3D graphics, but that... There is a function that is meant to make sure that you select the thing you click on, and it just ignores it. It doesn't work. It's not... It does not work. It's not a rendering issue, it's a selecting shit within Unity issue, and it's a little frustrating sometimes. Bugs on bugs. Yeah, minor editor annoyances. I wouldn't really call it a bug as such, but it is annoying. So the other thing we want to do real quick, because I'm only here for about another 15 minutes, I got shit I gotta do. Is, so we're going to shrink all that back down. We're going to go to the game manager, and I'm going to sort out the bow. Current bow level 2, so I need to get some bow sprites. Alright, so we'll start with the shitty one, and then we'll go to the red one, and then we'll go to that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just annoying enough. Let's put it that way. Items, weapons, item sword. If I change that and go item bow, like this, then this becomes a bow. Oh no. Sword upgrade. Right, okay. I need to create a new... Okay, right. Oh, we have SO ranged weapon. Excuse me. This is a scriptable object. Death through 1,000 noise. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a fair and valid way of putting it. I take this over to here. This is actually an SO inventory. Sprite, sprite, get next level. Oh, crunchy today. So anyway, SO ranged weapon. This is fine. We're actually not going to bother about that right now. We go to player manager, where we look for SO sword. There we go. Great. We go switch. Oh no, actually, I just need to. Oh, I am current bow level. Bow slot. Bow item. Bow item. Bow item. Bow slot. Bow slot. Bow slot. Ranged. Actually, we're handling that. Get current bow damage. Get current bow damage. Refresh inventory visuals true. Current bow damage. Plus equals vector 2 in 1. 1. So we get a little upgrade for doing it. Get current, get current, get current, get current. Refresh inventory visuals. I think that's good. Create a version that you already created for God is identical to variable names. I've done that so many times. I've done that so many times today. Scriptable objects. Sword upgrade. Create. Scriptable objects. Are we not compiling? Must have made a whole lab work with code and testing example interpretation and forgot. I'm getting. I'm at the point where I'm pretty good at recognizing when I've done something before and just going and cannibalizing old work. Gonna take out in a minute to the Outlook radio show on Lichfield Radio. That's fine. I was finishing at 3 o'clock, which is like 10 minutes. So I'm actually just gonna. If this works, I'm just gonna go. Like, if this works, I think I'm just done. This name already exists. On the bright side, it tells you that your naming conventions are good. Like, if your naming conventions are good, hell yeah. Like, if you are consistent naming conventions across multiple projects, you can't be that mad. That's a very useful thing to do. Anyway, so we're going to drop the bow. And we're just going to put that in our start position. And I hate this. There's going to be a way around this, but because we don't have a weapon pickup or an action log yet, it's not an issue. But we start, and we go bang, bang, bang. We haven't picked up the bow. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Eat shit, Richard. Yep. While we're here, let's make sure. Ranged weapon. Hey, we did that already. We did a thing. We did a smart thing like 2 days before we needed it. Boom. Bow. 2 to 4 damage. 3 to 5 range damage. No arrows, though. Now go up. You need 4 works in yesterday, but no one can play much. Just head after clubbing all night. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna wait for the troll to stick his head out. I said we're gonna wait for the troll to stick his head out. And I'm gonna shoot him with a bow. Pew! I'm gonna shoot him with another bow. Pew! Pew! Uh-oh. Womp. Right. So there's a couple of things we need to do here that we can do before we apply all prefabs. We go into visuals. So, visuals, order and layer is 10, but actually shadow order and layer is 1. And then we can go into our enemies. We go into all of these. Order and layer 2. That shouldn't have been done here. Yeah, it should. That's not ideal. Yeah, apply to prefab collectible item base. Apply to prefab collectible item base. So, just need to make sure that these things are always rendering over the top of their shadows, which is fine. We go into enemies. We go into enemy base. So I think an enemy will... So we're on 10. So we're going to put you on 9. And then shadows is also 1. Like this. And then this should prevent any weird shadowy overlapping. I think we can test that very quickly by just bringing the troll next door and being, hello, I am the troll next door. How are you doing with weird sprite overlapping? None. We are getting some sprite fuzziness, though. That will be because I haven't... Alright, that's the other thing we can do, I suppose. We go to enemy sprites. We select all of our enemy sprites. And filter mode is no filter. Filter mode is no filter. Why are you being like this? Are you too big? You are not too big. You're just being fuzzy. Don't be fuzzy. Are you being fuzzy because the render... Yeah, because the render was weirdly off. So how it works, do you leave this game for Twitch when you go on a break? Are you playing if you're trying to purchase a game in eShop? So there's no in-game purchasing yet, although the old version did work with... the old version did work with, like, tips and channel points and stuff, so I do want to re-implement that. But yeah, the point is, like, I've gone off, like, I'm doing a 24-hour streamathon, I've gone off for half an hour to get some dinner. You guys can play this RPG. Or, like, I'm gonna get an hour's sleep. You guys can play this. Or, like, you run it, put this default size, right? If I pop this out and scale it, I'm just like, hey, I'm playing a game. You guys... Viewers trying to mess up again. Well, no, the streamer doesn't have any direct controls for the game. Pokemon's or something and bought a game. Really? That's quite impressive. Yeah, there's no interaction outside of Twitch Crest for Twitch commands. If other people have overlapping commands, that's on them. I have to admit, there's a lot of the original Twitch Play stuff, which is kind of mad. Right, I am going to start calling this a day, though, because I have a bunch of stuff to do. But this was good. This was a level of productivity I didn't expect today. What day are we today? We are Tuesday. I'm back tomorrow. There's no reason for me not to be here tomorrow, unless there is a sensitive family thing tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing it. If it turns out I have to do this, then I won't be streaming, but I should be streaming. Yeah, but the point is that like this should like sit in the corner quite happily and be visible, but you can also like full screen it if you want. Wrote a chatbot, a small test game. That's how this started. What's really annoying is after Rusty's retirement, which is a very cool idea for a game, I think I tried I had 4 or 5 different ideas for like a transparent background game. And none of them paid off, which is really funny for me. As in, I didn't go through with a lot of them, but I really fucking should have, because a lot of them I've seen, I'm like, hey, I had that idea like a year ago. Fuck. And that's very typical to me. I did use the transparent background to make Anxiety Pet with my good friend Jelly. And like 4 other people. It was a really, really cool project. I love a good game jam. So that's like a desktop Tamagotchi stuff that was cool. Right. I am going to go. I'm going to go work on some stuff off stream that I need to work on. I might look into this double rendering issue because it's annoying. But other than that, I think I'm gonna call it. Like, that was 3 very cool hours that flew past, and I have a bunch of stuff I need to get sorted before 5 o'clock. So you're out of luck. But I will be back around tomorrow. I'm surprised how much streaming later in the day brought people in. So maybe I will stop starting at 9 AM and I'll push my working day back a couple of hours and see what happens then. But otherwise, thank you everyone for hanging in. If you are not following already, please drop us a follow so you know when I'm back. We are going to go raid Thorlar, who is an incredible Swedish streamer that's raised like $1 million for fucking like $1 million for charity or something. Like, very, very cool. Has currently streamed every single day straight for like 4.5 years. Very cool. Love Thorlar to pieces. Great vibes. I have, it looks like we might get a little bit of pre-roll, which does suck, but I'll catch you later. Have a day.